Good morning everyone. I am Manusha. I am working as guest DL in political science in TTW RDC Dammapet at Tankella. Today I am explaining topic impact of colonial rule and Indian national movement. Okay, first I am explain about Indian national movement. First which is introduction. The history of Indian constitution began with the entry of British East India Company. This company came into in India in 1600 AD. Queen Elizabeth I authorized this company and Queen Elizabeth to carry on trade with India. It was able to administer the major Indian provinces through despotic methods. When its policy and programs became controversial, the British government took over the political and administrative affairs of the company and began managing itself. The activities through the governors and governor generals and viceroys. This company came into India and British rule began in 1858 and ended in 1947. First time explain Indian national movement. The Indian national movement is the largest struggle organized by the freedom fighters against foreign rule. Once again I repeat, Indian national movement. The Indian national movement is the largest struggle organized by the freedom fighters against foreign rule. Then next one వచ్చేసి Indian national movement has divided into three phases. Dr. Ramesh Chandra, an eminent historian, has divided the history of Indian national movement into three phases. Namely, first one is moderate phase. First one is moderate phase. Moderate phase 1885 to 1905. Moderate phase 1885 to 1905. Second one is extremist phase. Extremist phase. This phase is 1906 to 1919. 1906 to 1919. And third one and last one is Gandhian phase. Third one is Gandhian phase. 1920 to 1947. Then first one explain moderate stage. This phase is described as an era of reforms. As an era of reforms. The moderate nationalists like Dadabhai Nauroji, W.C. Banerjee. W.C. means Umesh Chandra Banerjee. Next, Surendranath Banerjee, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and other response complete faith in the benevolence of the British rulers. Next, they wanted to convince the British government by sending a representation, petition, and deputation. Next, they wanted a liberalized Indian society by introducing certain reforms. The best possible way to achieve was the a favor self-rule and constitutional reforms. Next, they strived to promoting strong nationalist feelings and political awareness among Indians on the basis of certain principles like sacrifice and hard work. The Indian Council Act 1802 and the Government of Indian Act 1919 were enacted due to the impact of the moderates. So next one is extremist phase 1906 to 1919. This phase is described the phase of militant nationalist movement. This phase is described as the phase of militant nationalist movement. Many leaders like Bala Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpati Rai, Bipin Chandrapal and Aravind Ghosh and soon played a prominent role in the stage. They strongly opposed the British rule and partition of Bengal. Next, they criticized the Medicaid policy of the moderates. They proposed and practiced passive resistance policy against the British rulers. They advanced boycott of British goods, government schools and colleges. Next, the extremists have adapted some some methods, okay, against in British rulers. So, for example, first one is boycott of British goods. First one is boycott of British goods. Then next, honorary title and legislative membership. Boycott of British goods, honorary title and legislative membership. Then second one is encouraging the native education. Encouraging the native education. Next, home rule movement. Home rule movement 1916 to 1917. This movement was started by Annie Besant and Bala Gangadhar Tilak. Annie Besant and Bala Gangadhar Tilak. The home rule movement by establishing organization at Madras and Pune in 1916. And Motilal Nehru, Tej Bahadur Sapru, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and other leaders have supported to this movement. They popularized slogan like Swadeshi, native education, self-rule. Once again repeat, they popularized slogan like Swadeshi, native education and self-rule. Next, people had voluntarily joined in this movement by donating their valuable and money for the organization of this movement. Many factors like first one is unification of two groups in the Congress, and next to Congress Muslim Pact. Next third one is emphasis on national self-determination during the First World War. Next to and dynamic leadership of Tilak and Anbi Sent. Next, Congress Muslim League or Congress Muslim League or Lucknow Pact in 1916. The year of 1916 was of a great significance in the Indian national movement. The two major political organizations was Indian National Congress and the Muslim League. First one is Indian National Congress and second one is Muslim League held their meeting at Lucknow in December 1916. The extremists and the moderate of Congress have engaged to renewed together at the mediation of Anne Besant. Then next one is Gandhian phase 1920 to 1947. This period is described as the non-violent period. This period is described as the non-violent period. The year 1920 is a memorable one in the history of national movement and Indian National Congress because Bala Gangadhar Tilak passed away during this year, July 31, 1920. Next, Gandhiji became this undisputed leader of the Indian National Congress. He opposed the repressive Rowlatt Act and asked the people to observe Hartal against in March 30, 1919. Gandhiji lost his faith in the benevolence of British rule. He launched non-cooperation movement on August 1, 1920. He launched non-cooperation movement on August 1, 1920. He led several movements like non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, and Quit India movement. Okay. Then next, first we have discussed about non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement in 1920 to 1922. Next, the Indian National Congress led by Lala Lajpati Rai has adopted the resolution of non-cooperation movement at its Calcutta session in September 1920. The Nagpur session Indian National Congress accepted Gandhi's ideas of non-cooperation against at British rule. This movement was two types, namely positive agenda and negative agenda. This movement was of two types, namely positive program or positive agenda, negative program or negative agenda. First, we have discussed positive agenda. This includes collection of a fund of 1 crore in order to implement a non-cooperation activity. First one is collection of a fund 1 crore rupees in order to implement non-cooperation activities. Then second one, distribution of 20 lakhs charakas to the unemployed Indians. Distribution of 20 lakhs charakas to the unemployed Indians. Next one is formulation and implementation of national education plans. Formulation and implementation of national education plan. Next, settlement of disputes through private organization by boycotting government courts. Next one is establishing Congress legislative bodies in place of the British legislative bodies. Next, use of Swadeshi goods. These are positive agenda. Okay, these are positive agenda. Next one is negative agenda or negative program. First point is in negative program, renouncing the British title and honorary offices. Renouncing the British title and honorary offices. Next, abstaining from the government organized meetings and programs. Abstaining from the government organized meetings and programs. Next, boycott the British courts and process of election to legislative bodies. Boycott of British courts and process of election to legislative bodies. The next one is resignation of membership in local bodies. Resignation of membership in local bodies. So this one is negative agenda. Then next, the leaders as well as the people have obligated the two programs listed above. Gandhiji renounced his British title Kaiser-i-Hind. Gandhiji renounced his British title Kaiser-i-Hind. Eminent advocates like Motilal Nehru, Chittaranjan Das, Rajendra Prasad, and Rajagopalachari, Tanguturi Prakasham, and others boycotted British courts. Students also all over the country left their educational institution and joined the national movement. Students also over the country left their educational institution and joined the national movement. Next, to people in 1919, people born out of the foreign goods. Leaders like Dugirala Gopalakrishnaya have refused to pay taxes and left their village. Leaders Duggirala Gopalakrishnaya have refused to pay taxes and left their village. When the movement was at its peak stage, an unhappy violent incident it took place on February 5th, 1922 at Chauri Chaura in Gorakhpur district, Uttar Pradesh. An angry mob, one of the village burned allied 20 policemen, including the sub-inspector. Gandhiji shocked this incident and announced unliterally the suspense of this movement. So 1992, 1992, 1920 వరకు this movement was ended. Then next one is he was started emergence of Swaraj Party in 1922. Emergence of Swaraj Party in 1922. Who was started this party? Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru, Vittalbhai Patel, M.R. Jayakar, K.D. Malavya and others have launched this party. Chittaranjan Das, Motilal Nehru, Vittalbhai Patel, M.R. Jayakar, next K.D. Malavya and others have launched the Swaraj Party on 31st December 1922. The member of this party have succeeded in their efforts is opposing diarchy state level. They boycotted the meetings of the state legislative assembly on many occasions opposing the government policies. But the party lost its glory after the death of its founder president Chittaranjan Das. The next one in 1927 Simon Commission came to India. Simon Commission came to India in 1927. Baldwin, the British Prime Minister, announced on November 26, 1927, the sitting of a seven-member Royal Commission with Sir John Simon as chairman. This commission aimed at inquiring whether Indians are in proper position, get the benefit of constitutionalism, parliamentary government, and other reforms provided by the Government of Indian Act 1919. The commission has visited in India into two spell. First spell from February 3rd to March 31st, 1928, and from October 11th, 1928. Next, second spell during visit, the engaged in the examination of the relevant data which the government of Indian furnished. And second phase is at session Lahore, Karachi, Pune, Patna, Calcutta, Shillong, Nagpur, and Madras. Finally, it paid a visit to Delhi and held deliberation for 2 weeks with the Governor of India. It went back to in England on April 13th, 1929. The recommendation of the commission as the follows. First one is this commission recommendation. First one, complete autonomy to Indian in managing their government. Complete autonomy to Indians in managing their governments. Next, second one, formation of federation with British states and native provinces. Second one is formation of federation with the British state and native provinces. So these are Simon Commission suggestions. Next, Nehru report, 1928. Nehru report. Lord Birkenland, the Secretary of State for India, while addressing the House of Lords in November 1927, challenged the Indians where they could not prepare a constitution agreeable to all. So the Indian National Congress accepted this challenge after consulting various parties and having held several meetings at Delhi, Pune, and Bombay. The All Party Conference, in its meeting held by at Bombay on May 19th, 1928, set up either members subcommittee for this purpose. Motilal Nehru was its chairman, and Lala Lajpati Rai and Tej Bahadur Shapro were its prominent member. So this called the Nehru report. Then next one is civil disobedience movement. Next one is civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience movement started by Gandhiji in 1930 and to 1934. The Congress has launched the civil disobedience movement under the leadership of Gandhiji on March 12, 1930. Prior to this Congress, at this Lahore meeting on December 29th, 1929, declared for the first time that was complete Swaraj was its sole and aim. It called upon the people to observe January 26, 1930 as Purna Swaraj Divas. January 26th, 1930 as Purna Swaraj Divas. Purna Swaraj Divas means Complete Independence Day. Purna Swaraj Divas means Complete Independence Day. Gandhiji once again tried to cool down the tempers of the young leaders of Congress. He gave an ultimatum to the Viceroy Irwin as a last resort, demanding him to solve the issue. When the Viceroy Irwin ignored the ultimate, Gandhi has decided to launch civil disobedience movement. So there are three phases in civil disobedience movement. There are three phases in civil disobedience movement. First phase, March 12th, 1930 to January 3rd, 1932. Next second phase, January 4th, 1930 to July 11th, 1933. Then next third phase, July 12th to 1933 to May 1934. So we have discussed first one is first phase, civil disobedience movement, first phase. This is also described as Salt Satyagraha phase. This is also described as Salt Satyagraha phase because Gandhiji started this program on March 12, 1930 from his Sabarmati ashramam along with 78 staunch followers with 78 staunch followers after he walking about 200 miles after he walking about 200 miles and reached Dundee, a small coastal village, and defined the salt law soon followed a countrywide agitation by all section of society. Countrywide agitation by all section of society. Then next, Gandhiji was arrested and detained at Erravada prison in Pune. Then next one is civil disobedience movement second phase. Second phase, Gandhiji and other leaders were detained once again on January 14, 1932. Once again, Gandhiji and other leaders detained in 1932. Then people's picketing, boycott, Swadeshi and other activities were instigated by the people at this phase. Then next one, the nationalist accept Muslim leaders, and opposed the communal award announced by the British Prime Minister. Announced by the British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald on August 10, 1932. Then next, civil disobedience movement last phase. The Indian National Congress at its Pune session on July 12, 1933 resolved to withdraw collective civil disobedience and to continue individual civil disobedience movement. When Gandhiji and other national leaders started individual satyagraha, they were detained on August 1st, 1933. Then next, August offer. August offer in 1940. What is August offer? The Congress Working Committee at its meeting in Pune raised two demands. Namely, first one, total freedom for Indians to frame their constitution after the Second World War. Then second demand, setting up of provincial national government of various parties. Next, Churchill, the conservative British Prime Minister, has refused to these two demands. He declared that the Atlantic Charter did not apply to India. On the other side, Lord Linlithgow, the Viceroy of India, made in the following proposal on August 8, 1940. So this called August offer. Then next one is Cripps proposal. Cripps proposal. Churchill, the British Prime Minister, announced his intention March 11, 1940 to send Stafford Cripps, the leaders of the House of Commons, to India to have dialogue with Indian leaders. Cripps arrived in India On March 22, 1942, he held a series of talks with various leaders and announced the following program on March 30 in 1942. The next one is Wavell Plan, July 1945. Lord Wavell was appointed by the Governor General of India in October 1943 in succession to Lord Linlithgow. The conservative government headed by Churchill struggled hard to resist the opposition criticism in handling the political situation in India. So, it summoned Lord Wavell for deliberating on the Indian issues. It sent Lord Army, the Secretary of State for India, as its agent to India. He, along with Lord Wavell, issued the following statement, which was later on called as Army Wavell Plan or simply Wavell Plan. The next one is Cabinet Mission Proposal in 1946. After the end of Second World War, Attlee, the leader of Labour Party, became the Prime Minister in Britain. He and Viceroy Wavell on September 19, 1945 announced separately the British government aims at setting up of the responsible of government in India and a meeting of Constituent Assembly for drafting the constitution will be held soon. Later, Lord Petwick Lawrence, the Secretary of State for India, on February 19, 1946, announced that a mission will be sent to Indian basing on the report of the Parliament members' trip to India. Prime Minister Attlee announced in the House of Commons on March 15, 1946, that was Indian had a right to self-determination. Then next one is Attlee Declaration in 1947. Attlee Declaration in 1947. Attlee, the British Prime Minister, has decided to end to the settlement in India. He announced on February 20, 1947 in the House of Commons that the British government will quit India by June 1948. Power shall be transferred to the responsible persons at the national level, and if it was not possible, power shall be delegated to the statement governments. Next to Mountbatten Plan in 1947. Lord Mountbatten succeeded Lord Wavell as the Viceroy of India. He came to India in June 1947. He held discussion with all prominent leaders, parties and organizations with regard to the prevailing political situation in India. He prepared a plan and succeeded in getting the approval of the Congress, Muslim League and the Sikh leaders. He went to England and got the formal approval of his government and returned to India on June 3rd, 1947. He had advanced the following proposals. For example, first proposal, India will be divided into two dominants, Indian and Pakistan. Then second proposal, while Assam will continue to be a part of India, the provinces of Bengal and Punjab will be divided on communal basis. Next third proposal, a referendum will be held in third proposal, referendum will be also be held in Balochistan and northwest frontier provinces for joining Indian or Pakistan. Next proposal, two boundary commissions will be set up for covering some parts of Punjab, Bengal and Assam. Next proposal, the two dominants will hold discussion for sharing their assets and liberties. Next proposal, the two dominants will have freedom to join the British Commonwealth nation. This was Mountbatten Plan proposals. So this was our Indian national movement. Next one is British colonial era. Next one is British colonial era. So British colonial era means the history of India constitution began with the entry into India 1600 AD. British colonial rule is said to be one of the important causes for the birth and growth of nationalism in India. The British rulers developed communication facilities such as road facility and rail facility, press facility and post facilities and telegraphs facilities for preserving their administrative, political and economic interest in India. The leaders of Indian national movement properly evolved such facilities and informed the Indian masses about the tyrannical and exploitative policy of British colonial rulers, also brought the feelings of unity among the Indians. Next, the Great Revolt in 1857. The Great Revolt in 1857. The exploitative policies of the British rulers led to the discontent among the Indians against the British government. The doctrine of lapse, coined and implemented by the Lord Dalhousie, the government of general, created an anxiety among the native rulers. Native rulers like Jhansi Lakshmibai, Nanaji Rao Deshmukh, and Tantia Tope and others were quite disappointed over the negligent and despotic attitude of the British government. On the other side, the discrimination and anti-religious policy of the British military officers against the Indian sepoys planted the seeds to discontent and lead to the nationalist feelings among the Indians. The flames of Indian national movement gradually spread among the Indian due to the igniting of communal feeling by the British rulers. First one is English education impact. First one is English education impact. English was introduced in India as medium of instruction and correspondence by the British rulers on the recommendations of Lord Macaulay Committee. Lord Macaulay Committee. A few educated prominent among Indians travelled in England to gain proficiency in English language. They were able to study and understand the views of eminent thinkers like Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, J.S. Mill and Karl Marx on several concepts like liberty, equality, fraternity, independence and democracy, etc. They communicated the value and importance of these ideas to Indians in various regional languages. This inspired the Indians masses to participate in the freedom struggle. Next, impact of newspaper or impact of press. By 1887, about 650 newspapers were published in national and regional languages. These newspapers have enlightened the people about the evil acts of British rulers in India. The national movement leaders like Balagangadhar Tilak, Surendranath Banerjee, and Kasim Nadri Nageshwar Rao Pantulu, Motilal Nehru, and others started newspapers in Bengal, Bombay, and Madras provinces. For example, newspapers Kesari, Amrut Bazar Patrika, Andhra Patrika, The Hindu, The Indian Mirror, etc. Were some of the newspaper founded by the during the freedom struggle. This newspaper successfully fulfilled the defined objective like including nationalist feelings, conveying public opinion to the government, and publishing editors. Next, conducting and unpopular act of the British government, imparting political knowledge among the people at village level, etc. Next impact, economic exploitation. Next impact, economic exploitation. The British government transformed India into a safe sighted for British investments, markets, and export of Indian raw materials. It suppressed the growth of the Indian cottage, village, and small scale industry for safeguarding the British investment on basis. The British Governor General, like Lord Lytton, the British Governor General Lord Curzon, implemented such policies that suited to the British investors, exploiting the national wealth of India. Then next to socio-religious impact. Socio-religious impact and reformative movements. Socio-religious impact and reformative movements. Many social and religious movements got prominence in India after the Great Revolt of 1857. For example, Anibisant Syed Ahmad Khan, Dadabhai Nauroji, and others have organized several social and religious reformative movement. On the other side, social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Rai and Kandukuri Vireshalingam and Sarojini Naidu strived to root out social evils such as Sati Sahagaman, child marriages, etc. And they have supported some progressive reforms like widow remarriage, women education, etc. These lead to the active participation of women and pair with men in the freedom movement in India. Then next one is emergence of Indian National Congress. Indian National Congress emerged in 1885. The Indian National Congress was emerged on December 28, 1885 with 72 delegates in Bombay for bringing the problems of Indians of the notice of British government. It played a crucial in the organization of national movement in India. This organization has declared Swaraj as its ultimate goal and strived for achieving its goal. So this one is national movement and impact of colonial rule. Thank you. The next one is making of the Indian Constitution. Making of the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution is a written constitution and was drafted by the Constituent Assembly. It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to make the Indian Constitution, in which the drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar played a significant role. Indian Constitution has evolved itself from various historical sources. The Government of Indian Act 1909, the Government of Indian Act 1919, the Government of Indian Act 1935 were considered to be foundations for the emergence of Indian policy and making of the Indian Constitution. Hence, it is necessary to understand various acts and their respective provisions for the study of the Indian Constitution. In fact, these laws had by certain reforms in the working of the Indian policy. First off, we have discussed the Government of Indian Act 1909. The Government of India Act 1909 was otherwise known as the Minto-Marley Reforms Act. The Government of India Act, otherwise known as the Minto-Marley Reform Act. Lord Minto, the Secretary of State for India, and Lord Morley, the Viceroy of India, played a crucial role in formulating this act. Several factors like Lord Curzon's cruel administration and Japan's victory over Russia in 1905, the acute poverty in India, the plague of non-resident Indians, the militant attitude of the secret organization, the Congress built in 1907 at Surat meeting, at the appreciation of Muslim towards Hindus, etc. In this act, main provisions, first one is the act has enlarged the membership of the Central Legislative Council from 16 to 60. 16 to 60, and those of Madras, Bengal, United Provinces, Bombay, Bihar, and Orissa Legislative Council up to 50, and those of Punjab, Assam, and Burma up to 30 each. Then second provision, second one is it has empowered two members both in central and state legislative council to discuss any matters, raise questions and supplementary questions, except military and diplomatic and religious, except military, diplomatic and religious matters. Next, third one is it has introduced separate electorate for Muslims and certain other sections. It has introduced separate electorate for the Muslims and certain other section. Then next, it gave scope for the appointment of an Indian member to the Executive Council of the Governor General and the State Governors. Then second one, it determined qualification for the candidate seeking election to both central and provincial legislature. Then next, it has increased the number of governors executive council to 4 in Bombay, Madras and Bengal respectively. Then next one is, so these are main provisions in 1909 Act. Then next discuss 1919 Act. The Government of Indian 1919 Act, the Government of Indian Act 1909, also called Montague-Chelmsford Reforms. The Government of Indian Act 1909, also called Montague-Chelmsford Reforms, made a beginning in the emergence of representative government in India. Many act discontent over 1909 reforms, frustrating among Indians changes in the Muslim League policy, the First World War, the renown of moderate and extremists in the Congress, the Home Rule movement and Montague Declaration and Montfort scheme, etc. So in 1919 Act main provision, first one is the act removed the restriction over the size of member of the Governor General Executive Council. Then second provision, the act made the executive responsible to the Central Legislative Assembly. Then third one is it fixed the member of the Council of State upper chamber at 60 members and the Central Legislative Assembly, that's also called lower chamber, at 45 members. Then next one, it has provided considerable powers to the Central Legislative Assembly by empowering that latter in make laws on the union legislative subject, the approval of the Governor General. So this provisions in 1919 Act. Then next one is 1935 Act. Then next one is the Government of India Act 1935. The Government of Act 1935 was considered to be the second milestone first to begin the 1919 Act is the introduction of responsible government in India. This act, the introduction of the responsible government in India. Different factor like Indian nationalism, British imperialism, communal tendency, etc. Next, influenced in a way or other adapting this act. Similarly, various factors like report of Muddiman Committee, Simon Commission, and deliberation of the Round Table Conference and Communal Award. Next to a report of Joint Parliamentary Committee, etc. Then next to the Government of India Act 1935 main provisions. First one is the Act prescribed quasi-rigid and quasi-flexible method to amend the provisions. Then next one is while it's abolished diarchy in the provinces in introduced the same at the union level. It provide provisional autonomy in the state and paved the way for a complete responsible rule. Then next one is it split the administrative subject of the union government into two lists, reserved and transferred. Reserved and transferred two lists. While the reserved list comprised defense, external affairs, tribal affairs, communal issues. This one, first one. Then second one, the remaining subject were under transfer category. It has further authorized the governor and governor general to administer the affairs that were included in the reserved list. Then next, he was allowed to supervise the matters of transferred list with the aid Indian Council of Minister. Then next one provision, the act has enlarged the sphere of electorate and various legislatures. Then next one, it provide for bicameralism at the center and 6 out of 11 provisions. Then next, it continued a federal court in order to settlement the conflict between the union and provinces or between the provinces. Then last one is the it authorized the governor general to make residency matters. It gave freedom to native provinces either to join or quit our federation. So this one our 1935 Government Act provisions. Thank you.